Do you want me to do my clap thing?
Go.
We good?
This is the Luca Health Podcast, the show that goes beyond sport to understand the people behind the performances. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Northampton Saints and England fly half Finn Smith onto the pod today. Finn started out on his pro career with Worcester Warriors before switching to the Saints when the club went under in 2022. He was instrumental in the Saints' Premiership winning campaign last season and also made his England debut off the bench against Italy in that year's Six Nations. Fast forward a year and Finn's gone from third choice England fly half to nailing down the 10 shirt, starting and leading England to victory in the last 4 games of the Six Nations. Rightfully so, he's now being talked about as a possible, perhaps probable, Lions tourist. Super excited to dive into Finn's stellar rise. Welcome to the pod, mate. It's really awesome to have you with us.
Thank you very much. That was some intro as well. I'll take that. So yeah, great to be with you.
Just did it on the fly this morning, mate. Well, there's a lot to get into, so I'm excited for this one. Before we jump into it, just need to say a massive thank you to Cinch.
Big up.
They're not a sponsor, but they are now seemingly our second home for the podcast. So if you need a new car or a secondhand car, look no further than Cinch. Perfect. That's out of the way, but do really mean a sincere thank you. Right, so before we dive into this properly, Finn, we have a quick fire round just to get to know you as a character a little bit.
Love it.
All good?
Yeah, crack on.
Okay. Childhood hero.
Jonny Wilkinson.
I thought that might be coming.
Yeah.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Interesting.
Do you want one word or do you want me to?
No, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Cool. Funniest teammate?
Alex Mitchell. Accidentally hilarious.
Didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, dream teammate?
Good question. DuPont. Hard to look further than him. Sorry, Mitch. But yeah, I'd say DuPont.
He's a magician, isn't he?
Yeah.
All right. Lions call up or Villa to win the Premier League next season?
No, you're testing me there. I'd have to go Lions call up, I'm afraid. As much as I love Villa, that would be the pinnacle, wouldn't it?
You can't ruin it before it's happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. Amazing. Well, Finn, I'm curious to hear about the journey today. I think everybody probably knows you as an England fly half and Premiership winning fly half at the Saints last year. But pro rugby, was it always on the cards? Want to know more about your younger life? You're not that old now, sort of your upbringing, whether you were always destined to be where you are now.
Yeah. So I suppose came from a rugby-mad family. Like dad is rugby obsessed. My granddad played for Scotland and the Lions, so big sort of rugby family. Like grew up around it. Started playing when I was 4, and then actually gave up rugby for a number of years. Was destined to be a pro tennis player. Was obsessed with tennis from age maybe 5 to 11 or so, and it kind of got to the point where I was like, you might have to drop out of school and go to Spain and go full time with tennis, or crack on with the rugby. And that was just as I joined secondary school. So I was like, I'm not sure I'm willing to give up a social life and all of this stuff for the tennis. And then cracked on with the rugby after that. Loved it through school. Was never the best player, never the biggest. And then genuinely, when I was about 17, I was like, probably not going to make it. And they stuck me on a massive dirty bulk, like burgers, pizza, everything. They're like, we need you to put on 10 kg in the space of a year. So I went from this little scrawny rat to, got up to about 82, 83 kg and actually managed to start being able to like be a bit better in defence. Had a bit more of like a threat when running the ball. And honestly, if it wasn't for that year of stuffing my face with food, I reckon I'd have probably not made it. So it wasn't until I was probably 18 where I thought actually I should have a good chance of making it here. But it's weird that piling the weight on was a massive thing for me. So wouldn't say destined to always play pro rugby, but definitely had rugby sort of chucked at me from right at the start.
I'm from a similar family, like rugby from the age of 4. But that's super interesting. I did not know about the tennis, did not know about the weight, but we're not all massive, myself included. So I understand that some people get told to down protein shakes and take creatine. But the tennis, I want to unpack this a little bit. Because that's super cool. I actually played in the Road to Wimbledon when I was a 12-year-old. Have you heard of that?
Really? Yeah, of course I have. Yeah.
I got absolutely hammered. I was like an okay tennis player.
How far did you get?
Well, I won the Northampton County.
Yeah.
And so the road to Wimbledon, for I'm sure a lot of you won't know what this is for I think it's an under 14s tournament or something where each county champion represents their county in a GB&I tournament held at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
I got there by default. I was the third or fourth best in the county, and then for some reason the other boys were injured or whatever. So I went along,
Happy days.
won it, played at Wimbledon, rocked up there, and they asked where my coach was. I didn't have a full-time coach. I was never going to be a tennis player. So my brother was with me. My brother is my coach at Wimbledon, and you're knocking on half a court, and he's knocking balls out of the court, and it's wildly embarrassing. But my family are loving it. We've got many home videos. So,
how cool!
But I got absolutely. I won points,
Really?
not games that week. But that's amazing.
That's so cool, and it's mad, isn't it? At that age, how even surrounded by 11-year-olds, they've got physios and trainers and 24 different rackets in their bag, and it's like, oh my, that's the kind of dedication you need to make it in an individual sport. But no, I love playing tennis. Was obsessed. Used to go and train before school. This is when I was in primary school, and then I'd leave at lunch. Used to miss Fridays at primary school to go and just train all day. But was honestly tennis mad. I used to travel around the country for 2-3 day events, and sometimes to Europe as well. But got to the stage. My claim to fame is I was top 5 in GB for my last season in the under 11s. So that was the best I got. But it's at a pretty cool stage now where a lot of the lads that I actually played against at that age are now playing at Wimbledon or
so who would they be?
Like that. Guys like Arthur Ferry. I'd been in tournaments with Jack Draper, hadn't actually played against him, but he's obviously smashing it now. But even just seeing those names, it's mega. So yes, I'm the guy that sits on the sofa and says, "Oh, I could have done that," but. It was pretty cool to know those guys.
Could you have done it, do you think? If your head was in it?
No, I don't think so. Even at that age already, you're close, but Jack, for example, was miles better than everyone else. So I think it's a tough spot to get to the top in.
It's a bit like golf, isn't it? I think if you're top 50 in the world in tennis, like golf, multi-millionaire, living the life, private jets, and if you're 51st, you're at break even. It's the money accrues to the top 1%.
100% in Premier Inns every weekend and trying to make ends meet. But it's...
And it's probably more fun being in a rugby team and getting on the beers afterwards than celebrating with your physio.
100%. That was me. Year 7 discos I was having to miss in my first year of school and all of that stuff. And I was like, nah, this is not for me. So that was ultimately what swayed my decision. But I'm glad I stuck with the rugby because it's going all right.
It's going more than all right. Well, that's super cool, Finn. And in terms of then the Bowl Cup, that's also really interesting. I kind of assume maybe, I have a theory here that sometimes the standout schoolboy rugby players aren't the standout professional rugby players because it's 100%. Tends a bit different. But if you're a centre or a winger and you're running around people or stepping or whatever, obviously you're not going to get that time and space.
Yeah.
And so actually the skill set that you want a skill set over raw pace or power is my opinion. So
100%. No, I think you look at the guys who were massive when they were younger and actually they get to 18, 19 and everyone sort of catches them up and they haven't developed the rest of the games. I think the players that are scary and become unbelievable, I'll give you an example, Tommy Freeman was slow and an absolute stick until he was about 17, 18. So the only chance he had of making it was develop his passing and develop his timing onto the ball and footwork and stuff. And then when he got to 20, he all of a sudden became rapid, shot up to 6'4", is now 105 kg and can do all of that stuff as well. And those are the guys you look at and you're like...
He is a bit of a freak, isn't he?
Yeah, big time. But I'm agree with you, you're almost better being a little bit smaller at schoolboy age and managing to cope with that lack of height, and then the spurt's going to come and that's when you really kick on.
Totally. I kind of think Rory Hutchinson maybe would fall into that camp. I don't know. I never saw him as a schoolboy, but he's just got a skill set. If you've got amazing hands and distribution, and then you put a little bit of pace on top of that, you can be quite dangerous in pro rugby.
100%.
Amazing. And I think learn from those early days in tennis, or were you too young that's transferable to the rugby?
I always think there's probably comparisons I can make. I'd say you spend a lot of time on your own, in your own head, battling with highs and lows and learning to really dedicate to a craft by yourself. So I often say that's got big similarities to the kicking side of rugby. Going out and goal kicking for hours by myself and missing kicks in games, kicking well in games and having to deal with that sort of mental battle that maybe I wouldn't have been as good at if it wasn't for the tennis. But other than that, like I think you get bits of hand-eye from it. So you're passing and stuff like that. But people always say it's good to do different sports when you're young. So I think there's probably loads of transfer.
I think it 100% is, isn't it? Because like you become an all-round athlete, but also you don't get bored of the core sport. And you start to resent it. So very, very interesting. Right, I want to dissect your game a little bit because I wasn't aware of Finn Smith until Worcester. RIP Worcester went under. Although on the comeback, I hear there are massive plans.
They're back, 100%.
But you moved to Saints. Were you always going to move to Saints?
Yeah, I'd actually signed at Saints, so it was always going to happen, but it just happened a lot quicker.
Okay, yeah. So then you rocked up and you started like I think immediately or shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
And I was, I'm not meaning to suck up and like blow your own trumpet here, but I could tell straight away you were like very different. Time on the ball, composure. You somehow managed to bring out the best in everyone around you. And I think what's really cool, the way that you play, is that you both have structure, particularly in attack, but you still play heads-up rugby, which is, there's not A or B. You can have an amalgamation of the two, which I think is amazing to see. And of course, a wise head on very young shoulders. So I'm curious, how do you think about your own game? Do you ever sort of do the helicopter view exercise where you look down on yourself and you think, what is it that I do well, badly? How would you describe your superpower, Finn?
Yeah, it's interesting. 100% constantly reviewing myself. I'd say that's actually probably one of my biggest strengths is how much I dissect my day's work every single day. Every game I play, I review it within an inch of its life. So I say that's a real strength I've got is trying to grow and pushing that a lot. I'd say in terms of on the pitch, strengths would be sort of seeing space, my ability to sort of feel momentum and know when it's on to go wide, when we should play tight, when we should play slow, when we should play fast. I think that's something I've gotten comfortable with, and I'm confident in my ability to do that. I'd say I'd like to think I make it quite clear for people around me what I need from them and what I want from them for the team to do well. In terms of stuff I could do better, I'm not the best athlete ever, so trying to develop that running game. I'd like to score a few more tries and beat a few more defenders. And I guess as a fly-half, there's always going to be days where you don't kick too well, or you could have put different things on the money. So that's like a ever-growing challenge, which is something that I love about the position. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the athlete stuff, and sorry, that's a tough question. Like basically bigging yourself up. No one wants to do that, but I think it's interesting for people to hear it from you. In terms of the speed stuff, do boys still work with? There was that speed coach. I think Cipriani worked with her. And
I think Maggie Wells.
Maggie
Wells. I think some boys.
Is it still in vogue?
Yeah, I think some boys work with her, but we've got a load of S&C coaches.
You do speed stuff in the club.
Exactly. But I think she's very much outside the box, so it'd be interesting to chat to one of the lads that's worked with her.
The review stuff's really interesting. I think it's interesting for sportsmen as well as actually just anyone doing anything and they want to be the best at that thing. Like if you're not constantly reviewing and taking stock and then making plans and setting goals, then I think, in my opinion, you're just drifting. Yeah. And I'm pretty guilty of that. I think particularly in work when there's a lot going on. So what does that look like? Like this podcast is for. Well, it's to have interesting conversations with interesting people, but I think hopefully it's going to be listened to by, the future Finn Smiths, the people that are coaching the future Finn Smiths. So like basically schoolboy athletes and girls, coaches, and anyone who's obviously interested in rugby and wants to hear your views. Like, how would you actually do that tactically? What's your system look like?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of things. So from a rugby point of view, I'll review pretty much every touch I have in a game or in a week and go, good, bad, indifferent, could have done this better, happy with how I did this, and do that with every decision. And then after doing that, try and then revert back to a few big picture messages. So if I've got 4 or 5 clips when I'm like, you know what, could have got played flatter to the line or could have been deeper, then I'll then actually write that at the top of my list for the week. How many times can I play flatter to the line? Yeah. That kind of thing. So I'll review it very technically rugby-wise, and then I guess the beauty of the job I've got playing 10 is you're a big leader in the team. So post a performance, I'll review the way that the messages that we spoke about. So whether we wanted the team to do X, Y, or Z, and then the manner the manner I delivered those in as well, and could I have spoken better? Could I have demanded more of certain individuals? Could I have been more relaxed? Could I have been more fired up, and all of that stuff? But it's a constant process of trying to learn what works and what doesn't, and always trying to be authentic as well is a challenging bit of that. Do you know what I mean? I think first couple of times I went into camp and I listened to Owen Farrell speak. He was an incredibly passionate, emotional northern guy. I've done that's cool, I'm going to try copy that, and turned up to Northampton trying to be a bit like him, and everyone was like, why is this 21-year-old from Warwickshire trying to pretend he's a big hard northerner? So there's definitely a balance at that, but it's been a cool journey to go on.
That's epic. Do you do Faz? I shouldn't say Faz because I don't know the bloke, but I have played with him a couple of times,
really?
And he's quite intimidating even to play with, let alone against. Well, because he would have been like a real youngster then, and he was perhaps even more northern, if that's a thing, when he was younger. But do you do that review stuff all by yourself? Do you have, presumably coaches fit into that at the club and at the country? But I don't know, is there like a mentor or a role model, someone steering you through all of this? Or
I try and get as many different opinions as I can. So I've got sports psychology coach that I'll chat to about often the leadership side of things, where I was at mentally. Sam Vesti, the attack coach, speak to him a lot. Review games with him. Jake Sharp, who's like a skills kicking coach, review some stuff with him. Often text like England coaches and stuff, ask if they've got any big picture thought. Just as many different views as I can, and then take what I like, ignore what I don't think is useful, and then try and crack on.
That's amazing. I think everyone can learn a lot from that, particularly youngsters, because it's not all about gymming and how much you can bench and squat and stuff, is it? It's such. I would assume, I've never played at your level. I would assume that it's as much mental as it is physical and skill based. Do you have a view? That's why I was curious about the tennis, because tennis serving and stuff is like closed skill, isn't it? And goal kicking, similar. I don't know. I just obviously I'm a big golf fan. Just watch the Masters. It's mental at the top level which you're at. Everyone's got the skills, but not everyone can deliver the skills when they need to. And so actually doing the stuff that we've just spoken about is potentially the difference. And the difference is not in the gym and it's not in the training field, because everyone knows what they're doing in those two places, but not everyone can replicate their best when they need to.
100%. It's that I think what the trait that I've seen with the best players that I've seen is that ability to be there and be at the races every single day. That's something that's tricky, particularly after a hard result, or you've just won a few games and you're like, I can take the foot off the pedal today maybe, or not train as hard. The guys that are the very best are at 100% every single day and ready to go and getting the most out of everything. So I think that's something that's definitely applicable with sport, business, whatever.
Yeah. We've already discussed the mindset section that I wanted to, so we're ahead of time, which is good. But something that you just touched upon, which is something that I wanted to cover, which was, part of mindset and the mental challenge and stuff. You obviously had an amazing Six Nations, going into that. Were you third choice? Were you second? You're probably second choice, were you?
Yeah, third. I thought probably third choice if you're looking at the autumn that had been before, I'd say,
Yeah. But then obviously you must have had such an adrenaline-packed sort of best part of a couple of months, and then come back and struggle against the Saints, struggle for the Saints against Leicester. And clearly that's not just on you, that's on everyone else. But help us understand how challenging is that? Presumably there is an adrenaline uptick when you get into that England camp, and then you're just riding that highs and lows, I guess, and then trying to come back straight to the club environment. It must be hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult to sort of put into words, but I'd say rugby's a fairly well followed sport, and then you go into the Six Nations for 8 weeks and it's on the same scale as football. You've got 80,000 people in stadiums every week. You see it all over the media, people having discussions and stuff, and the mental toll and stress that takes on you is probably more than I'd realised it was going to. So especially after having a big sort of breakthrough campaign for myself, turning up to Northampton, I was a little bit of the mindset, one, I'm pretty exhausted, pretty worn out physically and mentally, and two, if I played well for England, hopefully I should be all right. Just to rock up on Saturday and do all right for Saints, and it was a real humbling lesson that if you're anywhere below 100% at professional sport level, you're gonna get stung, and that was a pretty poor day for the club and myself personally as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bring that up just to like have a pop or whatever.
No,
But I'm just curious, like
interesting.
how you do that, because obviously the Saints, the success of the academy means that predominantly the England backline is now made up of Northampton Saints players,
Cool, yeah.
and so but then it's like a challenge at the same time, isn't it? So, what actually just on the academy, you went through the Worcester one rather than Northampton, but presumably you've seen the academy coaches firsthand, and you see the conveyor belt system, as it were. What are they getting right at the club, or have they got right in the last 5 years? It's remarkable, that success.
Yeah. Very interesting. Like, obviously goes top down, like the trust of the coaches to pick the young boys if they think they're good enough and invest in them to really develop them. Like, that is paramount. And then I'd say, like, for the younger boys coming through the academy now, they have got the blueprint of how to bring an 18-year-old and make him a Premiership player. Like, follow that. It's pretty clear it's worked for so many people. So it's easy for those boys to just commit all in on that at that journey, because they know there's a likely pretty big bucket of gold at the end of it in terms of following the guys like Mitch, Dingers, Ferbs, Freeman, Slice, Hendy, Hutchinson, like you name it. So yeah, there's loads of things, and I think it's quite easy in setups for when you're playing. The coaches coach you really hard, and when you're not, it's a bit like, oh, just keep training hard. Whereas actually at Saints, it's like you're 18 and straight out of school, but we're going to coach you the same amount as we're going to coach Tommy Freeman, the England and potential Lions star winger. Do you know what I mean? And that's a huge credit to the club.
Presumably it's also cultural. Like, if it's an easy place for an 18-year-old to operate in, you're going to get the best out of them. Whereas I don't know, like, I've not been in that environment, but like, if it's more hierarchical, and everyone's shit scared as an 18-year-old to be training with the first team, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah, there is none of that at all. Like, it's probably the least hierarchical place I've ever seen, partly because the experienced members of the squad are guys that have come through the academy, and also because they're just absolute jokers. Like,
are they?
Yeah, like, I think Hutch and Mitch are the two most experienced members of the squad, and if they were trying to lay down the law, I don't think it would go down very well, because they're just both absolute clowns. But I think it's a really easy place to come and join in as an 18-year-old. Like, it's pretty light-hearted. There's a lot of good crack in the changing room. Everyone just wants to get better every day. So
it's a good place to be. And as you say, like, if you see people 2, 3, 4 years above you and they've done it, well, like, why can't you? It just empowers you, doesn't it? 100%. Alex Mitchell, why is he so funny? Is it one of those that's hard to actually?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. He's just so quick and witty. He's northern. I always think having a northern accent helps. I can't describe him. Like, he's just honestly hilarious. Like, very fake arrogant, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like jokes around about, oh, do you think I'm good, do you? Like, all of that sort of stuff, and it's very tongue in cheek. But he's very, very funny.
Funnier than Pollock?
Yeah, a lot funnier than Pollock. Pollock's a great character, not quite as quick or witty, but good to laugh at sometimes. Pollock.
Bit more basic rugby chat from Pollock.
Exactly.
Right, that's the last we're going to talk about Henry Pollock, because he gets too much airtime.
No, I'm keen for that as well.
No, I mean, I love it. I think anyone that's got that much confidence at that age, like, fair play. And then if you can back it up, then why not? Going back to the England setup, I'm curious, what's the most surprising thing when you first got into camp? Is there anything? Is it?
Yeah, it's weird, because you see all these players, growing up, you watch them on TV and you're like, these guys are ridiculous. And actually, I think there's a moment that sort of hits you that, like, these guys aren't supermen. They are similar level rugby players, skill set, athletes-wise, as everyone that I play at the club with or have played with through the system. But actually, these guys just have the ability to do every little part of the game that people maybe don't notice, just over and over again, and are just so consistent with it. But like, yeah, it was almost shocking in that sense. Like, actually, it's not. There's no perfect formula or anything. They just train hard, focus on their recovery, work on themselves really well, and like that thing of it was a little bit surprising for me, I guess.
But like, sometimes that's massively empowering, because you realise there isn't anything special. There's no magic sauce. It's like, oh no, I can actually mix it with these guys.
100%.
And it's only until you see that. Very cool. Jonny Wilkinson, childhood hero, and now is your goal kicking
Yeah.
instructor
Yeah.
3 times a week.
Yeah, that's pretty.
How nervous were you in that first session?
Yeah, I was spraying it.
Were
I was
you?
spraying it everywhere? But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't when they've got the guy they've been watching since they were 4 years old stood beside them trying to say, "Go on, just kick one over there," and you're like, "Oh no!" But yeah, it's mega.
I heard, I listened to the All or Nothing podcast when I was driving up last night to come and do this one with you, and it was interesting. Yeah, you were just talking about how he makes you feel $1 million when you first speak to him.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's got a great skill of whenever he's speaking to you, his energy and all his attention is fully invested in you. So he really makes you bizarrely feel like you're super important, and he's a nobody, which is mad for probably the best player that's ever played. But it's so cool. He's an unbelievable coach, unbelievable person to be able to like lean on for advice and just give his time to. So yeah, it's mega being able to kick with him, and he's still got it, to say the least. He's not a bad kicker. Yeah.
I actually reached out to him for the business.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah.
Guessed his email. Responds.
Really?
Jumps on a call. This is when we were first starting out, because I wanted to try and get him to invest.
Yeah.
And he has a few business interests himself, so that didn't end up happening. But for 45 minutes, spoke to me purely about our business.
Really?
Didn't speak about himself like once. And of course, like you wouldn't, but as like a fanboy myself growing up, it was remarkable how he was willing to make time. Actually, a bit like you, willing to make time to come on now. So but I was just like, there's zero ego there.
No.
And it's pretty staggering considering what he's achieved.
Yeah. And gives you a lot of perspective, isn't it? Like if he can be that humble and that giving as a person, as the best player ever, then there's probably no reason that any of us should have too much ego. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He's a serious role model for you. So that's
cool. I didn't know that about. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool. Does he have a wider involvement with the England team, or is it just with the kickers?
No, literally just with the kickers. So we'll train, and then you'll see him turn up with his boots in his hand and baggy tracksuit, hood up, and then everyone goes off the pitch, and he stays out with. It's usually me, Marcus, and Slady, and we just kick for an hour or so and chat about the world and
that is so sick.
Everything. So yeah, it's mad, but he's so, like you say, he's so unassuming. It's just like, yeah, keep my head down, wait till everyone's gone, and come on, help the lads and go home.
Yeah, just like a irrelevant exactly. Consultant coach.
Yeah, literally, it's wild, but
that seems to me like the way that he would want it. I think rather than having all the fanfare and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you backing yourself in a kickoff?
No way. No way. He could go. There's genuinely a chance he could go weak foot and beat me. Like I don't even exaggerate when I say that. Like you think you're kicking well, and you even watch like the other kickers that kick at the top level, and you're like, yeah, he hits a good ball, and then you see Jonny kicking it. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Off both feet, perfect drop goals, perfect spirals, perfect punts. It's like.
Does it sound different? You know when you watch pro golfers live, and it's like a gunshot when they hit the ball rather than like a clunky thing when we hit it.
Exactly the same as that. Is it? Sometimes when I hit a ball, it's a little bit slappy. But his is such like a full deep thud.
Like a deep thud.
Come right off the knuckle of his foot, and it's like, yeah, fair play. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, right, technical question on kicking.
Yeah.
I'm 13 years older than you.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid and watching Wilkinson do his thing in like 2003, the spiral was in vogue.
Yeah.
Like people were kicking for touch with a spiral kick.
Yeah.
You might be too young to even remember this, but like why? Why is the end over end? Is it purely an accuracy thing? Because I want it to come back, and maybe can we lobby you to bring the spiral kick back into a club game that doesn't matter when the league's done or whatever.
I'll try and do one tomorrow.
Okay, nice.
Probably accuracy. Thing with spirals is it's a tougher skill, so 2 out of 3 times you might hit it on the nut and it will go straight and go a mile, but the one you don't quite catch, the margin is quite high. So it's in terms of like kick chase and stuff and some of the dangerous attackers, I'd say it's just gone out of fashion. I'd say rugby's probably a lot more risk adverse than it was back in the day. So actually it's a lot about just trying to stop errors happening rather than, do you know what I mean, potentially trying to harm the opposition. But that's probably a little bit why it's gone out of fashion, I'd say.
That's a shame.
Yeah. And also I think back in the day, fly-halves were a little bit more of the pivot style, stand give, and just sit in the pocket and smack it, whereas actually now you're expected to do a few more things. So having time to load up a big spiral is challenging. Yeah. But I definitely, if you look at Sam Prendergast, young Irish team.
Yeah.
It's his default. Like he can hit a good one, so maybe it'll be back soon.
Sick.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all cyclical.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Finn, you've had a big 12 to 18 months. Is it sort of pinch yourself moment, or is it this is what you expect? Like, this isn't you being arrogant. If you're like, no, you're a goal-setting man, I know this. Did the 18-year-old Finn Russell that turned up for pre-season at Worcester, is this better than like what A-star would have been when you were thinking ahead 4 or 5 years?
It's so fun, isn't it? Like, I presume, I think when you first start out, you think the biggest milestone ever is, can I play in the Premiership? It's like, you do that. I just think the goalpost always move, that it never happens. I mean, I probably wouldn't have expected to get a cap when I was that age, but then actually you play a few games in the Premiership and then you start playing well in the Prem and it's like, oh, well, I want to get a cap now. And then you get a cap and it's like, well, I want to be the starting 10 every week. And it's like, oh, well, I want to win the Six Nations. I want to go on a Lions tour. So the goalpost always moves. But I must admit, like, there was a few moments in the Six Nations, you stood there singing the anthems at Twickenham at home and I was like, this is cool. It's hard to step away from it and take perspective and give yourself a pat on the back a little bit. But though I must admit, there was a couple of moments I was like, this is
pretty cool.
Mega.
Mega. No, but that's amazing because like you're soaking it all up and you're not taking it for granted because like, you never know what's going to happen. Like touch wood, like nothing injury wise or anything like that. But I think pretty cool if you can like be present in those moments. And I'm not surprised. Like you're a professional athlete that's competitive and you want to do amazing things. So like once you've achieved something, like why can't I achieve the next thing? And then just keep building on the momentum. So that's
it
very
must be exactly the same in the business world, I bet. Like everything. Oh, I've done this now, so why don't we take over the world, etc., etc. So
well, that's why I think a lot of ex-athletes. Not that my time lasted very long, but I think because anything's possible in sport. You could be an 18-year-old kid and 4 years later you can be doing what you're doing. If you work in a normal corporate job, you have to wait 18 months before a promotion cycle opens up. Like it's way more structured and you can't just like leapfrog, not just people, but like leapfrog goals. So it's definitely the same in business.
It's cool though. I always find that fascinating. Like people often go at footballers and stuff and why they're getting paid so much money. I'd say like the one thing I would say, credit to the sport, like you're obviously playing a dream job, but we always speak about it a little bit. Like you guys often get reviewed on a 6-month basis or a yearly basis, whereas like we have a heavy review every single day of people being like, you were rubbish today, which is mentally something that's probably challenging. But I think I'd really struggle with not having that. Like, what if I'm better than the guy that's in the job ahead of me? Like, why do I have to wait 18 months to get paid as much as him? So it's best.
That's why when you go to London and you see long drawn faces, that's why, because people are spending an hour commuting from West London to East London or vice versa, spending 10 hours in an office. And like, for what? So
it's all there's a big carrot dangling, isn't there? That's why.
No, there is, and I don't mean to bash it too much, but that's interesting. So what's the? I think that's very fair how you sort of summed up what you've done so far. What's the end goal? I don't know what would be. Fast forward 10 years. What's a brilliant career?
It's tough, isn't it? I want to have won a lot of things. So won a Premiership. Like it's hard to put a finger on. But I just want to be like, without trying to sound big-headed and stuff, I want to go down as one of the best players that's played rugby. Want to go down as a generally thought of good person as well. Want to set my life up, made a decent bit of dough. Like loved my time, look back on it. But I think ultimately when you look back on someone's career, like you want to win things, don't you? So whether that's Six Nations, World Cups, Premierships, European trophies, like as many stuff as I can get on my CV, then the more the merrier kind of thing.
You want to do it all, don't you? Because it's a short career, so there's no point not winning stuff.
And my body will probably be wrecked at the end of it, so why not go all in?
You're a 10, you'll be all right. I'm hugely impressed that you're studying, by the way. It wasn't really encouraged in my day.
Really?
We were deferring degrees and then went off if rugby didn't happen.
Really,
But it's been a positive, like net positive. It's obviously a pain writing economics essays when you're trying to recover from England camps. But
it's tough. But that was like a real non-negotiable for me when I left school. Kind of got offered a deal, and initially I was like, look, I want to go to one of the top Russell Group universities, and they were like, no way, with the ambitions we've got for you, that just wouldn't work. Like, we don't really want you if you're going to go away and be at a university half the year. So managed to find like a good online course that worked for me. So I'm in year 5 of my maths and economics degree at Open Uni at the minute, which has been tough, but like I think people often talk about it's so important to have stuff going on away for rugby. But I think it's less that for me. Like, I can keep busy socialising, and I'm quite good at that. I think it's more just like I enjoyed studying at school. I want to go into the working world, and actually it would feel like such a waste of ambition and waste of my academics and stuff like that if I'd have just got home from training every day and sat on a PS4 and done what quite a lot of the other boys do. So now I love doing it. Less so now that at the start. Now my career's a lot busier, but it's important to do, I think. Definitely. Good to get the certificate.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very impressive, and I think it obviously sets you up. But I'm sure it makes you a better rugby player as well, because presumably there was obviously a different part of your brain working when you're when you're thinking about supply and demand curves. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's very true.
Rather than 12 gigs.
There you go. 1%.
Have you given any thought to life beyond rugby? What you like? Because it's quite an interesting place now for you pro athletes. You know, more and more in the football world. Obviously, like money's slightly different. Yeah. But a lot of these footballers. God, who's the German guy? Does a lot of venture capital investing. Anyway, footballers are starting to invest in startups and private companies and stuff. And obviously, you guys are now. You have your own platforms, and you're well followed people, and that obviously leads to commercial opportunities. Like, are there any plans? Like, not necessarily for like investing stuff that's boring, but like, you know, anything that you might do alongside rugby when the economics drops off?
Yeah, like I really want to push my network, my social space. Like, I think rugby is a little bit backwards in terms of letting people in. It's always quite traditional in terms of like we don't want to give the opposition any advantage, or quite old school. I'm going to hopefully try and push a big part of that in terms of behind the scenes stuff, trying to monetize that side of thing a little bit more, because I think it's stuff that people are interested in. I've always, for some reason, loved the idea of once I finish playing, going and working in London with a suit on, with a briefcase, and getting flogged 6 a.m. till 11 at night. Like, I don't know, there's something about that lifestyle that just, I think, would give me the same adrenaline I get on the rugby pitch. I just love the idea of that, staying up in your office till you can hardly open your eyes. But maybe when I'm finished playing, I'll not fancy that as much. But we'll see. But there's hopefully, like you said, like with the way things are moving into the social media world, like the goalposts are changing so much in terms of ways you can make money. And I think by the time I finish playing, it'll be so different as well.
Yeah, you're a bit of a masochist, I think, or just like very deeply driven. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah. There's something like enticing. It's like a bit like marathon running, which like, so I've been getting into a little bit. Like, there's something quite nice about like seeing what you got, and like where's the limit, and actually is the limit the limit.
Yeah, I think that me and my brother are very much the same, and I think my dad is a solicitor, and we grew up watching him work until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. So I wonder whether that's just something like having someone you look up to so much being like that, and it's like, that's me. We're exactly the same at school with our exams. We both lock ourselves in our room, like 10 hours revision every day, non-negotiable. So I wonder whether that's just something we've got from my dad, but I love that feeling of working hard and grinding. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's satisfying then when it all like pays off. What does your brother do? Is he?
He's a consultant.
Is he?
A strategic consultant in London, so he's a proper...
Who does he work for?
A company called Q5. Okay. Like a quite smallish consultancy, but he's fully in the London mould of starter pack, whatever it's, run club, beers at the Ship on Saturday, and he loves it. So good on him.
Oh, that's class. So he's very much in Excel and PowerPoint.
He's loving it.
Yeah, adding value to the client.
Exactly.
Love that.
Professional liar.
Most people hate it, but if he's loving it, then that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Finn. I know you know. Time is precious. So, some closing questions, and also thanks so much. You know,
no problem at all.
A bit like Jonny Wilkinson. There's a theme here. You responded to a cold email, and very happy to make your time for what is a fledgling podcast which hasn't even gone live yet. Yeah. So, really do appreciate it, and love following your career in the last couple of years.
Thank you,
it's going to be very fun to see what the coming weeks and months and years have in store for you. So, some closing questions, Finn. Do you read?
I don't actually read. I try and put my phone down and do a lot of quiz books, crosswords, Sudoku, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not much of a reader. I never have.
So no favourite book?
No.
And why?
Not really,
It's not,
unfortunately
maybe
not.
it's an age thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm a scroller, unfortunately. I'll probably give you a favourite TikTok video, but yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that.
No, that's fine, mate. That's
cool.
You can't be perfect, but I'm pleased.
Yeah.
I'm pleased that you've just shown that you are human.
Yeah.
All right. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It's a very, very good one. There's nothing, there's no real golden nugget that super stands out for me. I always try and live by, don't ask people to do something you wouldn't be prepared to do. So, if I'm going to shout at boys for not running around the pitch or get annoyed at people for not working hard and dedicating themselves to the sport, then I should probably be happy to do that as well. So, yeah. Nice. I think that's a good place to leave it. I've heard you're a good egg. You're a very good egg. Yeah. Legend for coming on. Best of luck tomorrow. Nice one. And then for the big one at Leinster. Yes. Bring it on.
Next weekend. Yeah. Feeling good for that?
Yeah, excited. So, we got close last year, so fingers crossed.
That's about as close to a test match as you're going to get in the club rugby game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Ireland and a few. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, but we'll give it a go.
And then 8th of May, is there anything happening that day?
Yeah, potentially. We'll see. I'll be sat in front of my TV, that's for sure. But whether happy or sad, I'm not sure yet. But
potentially an early birthday present for you.
Yes, 100%.
Good man. Thanks very much. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
That was the Luca Health podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, subscribe for more content like this. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.